Hey folks, how's it going, man? I just out here having a fire and making some coffee, and I just got my fire going good, but it's not ready to put any coffee on yet. So anyway, I'm always thinking, and I've gone through a huge path of like healing and changing myself and trying to make my life better. And I was thinking back to, well, all kinds of things that have happened to me. Like, I guess to start out there, and that things, the human perception, things that happen to you, is the way that I always looked at stuff. And so then I would put like a negative spin or a positive spin on that. And I'm starting to think by the way things are going and stuff, just because some things don't happen the way that I had perceived them to happen in my mind as I was trying to manifest the direction that I want to go and the things that I want to do and trying to make those things happen. Um, it doesn't, just because it didn't happen the way I manifested it or perceived it, doesn't mean that it still didn't happen out the best way, even though it didn't happen the way you thought it should. So you put this negative spin on it and you're calling it something that happened to me as opposed to something that happened for me. And I think that's a more positive way to look at it, because we don't really think too much about the way things happen, in that they manifest themselves not in the way that we perceived, and so we perceive that as bad. But maybe it's not. Maybe it happened that way because it wasn't a mistake. It just, there were other things that we couldn't see that led the creation of that thing to happen in the manner that it did. So in reality, I guess what I'm saying is, it's sometimes when you get rejected from something that you're trying to manifest in a certain way, maybe that's actually protection and not rejection. Because I've noticed that a lot of things that have happened for me didn't go exactly how I had them planned at all. And but yet, in the end, when it comes full circle, it's turned out better than it could have the other way, because I avoided some other different things. So I'm more inclined to believe that rejection isn't a negative thing, that a lot of times it is the Most High, or Source Creator, or God, sending us a different direction, because we don't have that 100,000-foot view of what could happen. And so it unfolds differently than we perceived it to unfold. And I think I'm sitting at a point in time in my life now where I can testify to the fact that a lot of things that unfolded for me so far have not been at all how I had planned, or how I tried to bulldoze my way through and make it happen. And but yet I'm still very happy with the way things are turning out, and I can see now, getting through the other side, the backside of some of these things, that it could have went wrong more so if it went the way I tried to make it go, as opposed to the way that it ended up going. And I'm even looking back to the beginning of my story, where it started out as a little kid. The parts that I can remember are from about 2 years old on. And in that, you're given to these people, or gifted to these people as a baby, and something really special. And I think sometimes we are given to people by the Most High to see what they do with the gift that they're given of this child. How do they treat them? And in my case, my parents were awesome. It was other people in my life that that looked at the gift, looked at the light, saw me as different because I was very different than what most kids my age were. I could do things a lot of them couldn't do. Um, and I just didn't really fit in. And so, because I am different or was different or whatever, I think that sparked a lot of jealousy and stuff and made um, me get treated differently and in ways that that were, negative. But in looking at it from the aspect of that it happened for me instead of to me, I can now see positive results in that because they forced me to be able to be with myself, and be able to live alone and be able to do things for myself that they weren't willing to do, um, and nurture myself in other ways that they weren't willing to nurture me. So it made me who I am. And at this point, I mean, I can't really say that that was a bad thing, or a negative thing. I think they were things that happened for me and not to me. And I'm planning on going into other stories further on this topic and putting them out, things that happened to me in that manner to try to drive that point even further. Because I think it's really important because I know I was in that mindset of, oh, poor me, I'm stabbed in the back by 10 swords, when reality is that those 10 swords made me be able to pull them out, heal myself, and move on without being codependent on the people that wanted me to just be codependent and to be poor and to be miserable and have a lack life and not excuse me, throat, and not be able to carry on my own. But that's not what happened. That's what they wanted to happen, but that's not what happened. So anyway, I will do some more stories again in the future on that, and see if I can't maybe fit that together in other different scenarios that people can use to see what I'm talking about. That things don't happen to you, they actually are happening for you. And if something doesn't happen at all for you, you might, if you look at it far enough and study it hard enough, you might find that the thing that did happen to you turned out to be a better thing, and that rejection was in fact protection. Anyway, you folks have a good day. I'm going to go cook up my coffee and sit here and enjoy the sun with my 2 pup dogs and let them play for a while, and coffee out big time and have a relaxing day. Peace, love, and light, and we'll talk at you later.